right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I'm here with Brittany. How's it going, Brittany?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. And before we get started, I understand you have a YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Simply Brittany, and it is just that, simply me, like lifestyle content. So,
Awesome, awesome. And also before we get started, I want everybody to subscribe, like, tell your friends,
yes,
all
thank
that cool
you.
YouTube stuff.
Yes, yes.
Um, and with that being said, Brittany, growing up, was there a record player in the house?
So not in my house really, but in my grandparents' houses, like they both had record players because that like was how they listened to music. But growing up, like we just mostly had like cassettes and CDs and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So how did
Yeah.
you get into vinyl?
It's been very new. I just started collecting like at the end of last year.
Okay.
I mean, I've always seen vinyl, like just again, like at my grandparents' house and stuff like that. And I was just getting interested in like I listened to a lot of music and I used to have a really huge CD collection when I
Hmm.
was like a teenager.
Hmm.
And I honestly I think I just like kept hearing people talk about vinyl and I was like, let me like really get back into like listening to albums instead of just streaming songs here and
Right,
there.
right.
And a couple of my friends are really into vinyl, so I just like dove right in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember the first vinyl that you bought?
I do. So I bought like three on the same day, but I do
Okay.
remember what they are. Actually, two of them are in my top five,
Oh, nice.
but
Okay.
one is not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of your top five, have you seen any of those artists live before?
I have seen two of them live
Okay,
before.
cool. When we get to
Yeah.
that point, you can remind me if I don't ask you.
Yes, I will. Yeah. Then some of the other ones are a little too like, or one of them is before my time even, so I
Mm,
wouldn't have had the opportunity to see them live.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And since you've been buying vinyl, do you have like a favorite place that you buy vinyl from?
And like in Chicago, there's two record stores I really like going to. One is Rattleback Records,
Mm,
and the other one, they have like a really cool subscription type program there too, which is really what got me to like figure out how to curate my collection.
mm,
And then another one I really like going to, also in Chicago, is Lori's Planet of Sound. So
mm.
that one's a little bit more. They don't carry a lot of like mainstream stuff. It's more like off the beaten path a little bit, but they're both pretty cool.
Okay. And you had mentioned your first trip you bought three. Was three the most you've ever bought in one trip?
Actually, I think it was. I was just excited, I think. So
Okay.
I was like,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I don't think I mentioned this when I said how I got into collecting records. I got a record player for Christmas. I asked
Mm,
for it like for Christmas from my parents.
okay.
And like I think the next day is when I went to the record store.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Well, with this being top five vinyl, Brittany, I need you to show me your number five, the fifth vinyl that you have in front of you.
So that honestly, this was really, really, really hard to whittle it down to a top five, and I kept going back and forth. But I feel good about what I picked. So my number five is this is something I got on Record Store Day this year. So this is from Sister Rosetta Tharpe, and this is
Mm,
a live album. It's live in France from a concert she did in 1966 in
mm,
Limoges in France. And this is this was just a really cool record to get because Sister Rosetta Tharpe is kind of like a pioneer in music, and a lot of people don't know who she is, even though she kind of really started rock and roll and all of
mm,
that,
mm,
and like the jazz and bluegrass. And for this to have been a live performance from 1966, it sounds perfect, like as if
mm.
it happened like today. So this was a really cool album that I was excited to get.
Okay. Favorite album on the song? Favorite
Our
song on
favorite
the
song
album?
on the album.
Right, right.
Probably that's a good question. I would say probably Down by the Riverside because that
Mm,
also is a song I like feel like I heard a lot growing up too.
okay.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah.
So that was your number five. Let's
Yes.
go ahead and take a look at your number four.
Okay, number four. So this is an artist that I've seen live, which I know he can be a controversial artist, but it's called
Hmm,
Kanye West College Dropout.
okay.
And I saw Kanye West like tour when he was touring this album when he was opening for Usher on the Confessions tour back when I was in high school.
Mm,
And I loved this album when it first came out. Like I ran it through my Walkman, I feel
yeah,
like all the time.
yeah.
But this is I just feel like a really iconic album, like a hip hop album. It's very timeless. It feels like, and like it always sounds like every time I go back and listen to it, I'm like, yes, this still sounds so good, and I
Hmm.
still love it just as much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this one, favorite song on the album?
So that is really hard. So I think my favorite song might be Family Business, just because
Mm,
it's like a it's a song that I feel like is like relatable about like family and just like I don't know, it sounds a lot different than I feel like a lot of the other songs on here,
Mhm.
but that's hard. Yeah, but I'll
Yeah.
go with Family Business.
Okay. That's a solid
Yeah.
track. Okay.
It is. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right,
The
cool.
last call is really good too. That's what I was gonna say. I was going
Mhm.
back and forth between those two.
All right. So that was your number four. Let's take
Yes.
a look at your number three.
Okay, so my number three, and this is one of the ones that I bought like my
Mm,
first like time ever buying records,
yeah.
and this was is the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill,
Mm-hmm.
which this is another album that I had as like a CD of. I mean, I was probably 10 when this album came out, but I don't. But it was still good. Even though I can relate to all the songs, I really loved it. And so again, this is something I feel like I go back to and listen to, and it feels like it sounds just as good. Like I like listening to it just as much as I
Mm-hmm.
did before. I have not seen Lauryn Hill live,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, but yeah, this is my number three.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I can relate to that album. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your number three.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your number two.
Okay, so number two is Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life.
Mm-hmm.
This is like just I feel like a very, very classic album. And I actually got this. I went to on a trip to Stockholm a couple months ago, and Stockholm is like famously like the birthplace of pop music. There's so much music culture there. And so one of my friends and I, we went to like 8 or 9 different record stores while we were there. And that's where I got this one. So it feels like a little bit of like a souvenir too. But this is a song or an album I feel like that reminds me of like growing up and just like it's something I feel like I heard a lot
Mm-hmm.
as well as like other Motown albums all the
Nice.
time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Very
And
much
for the
classic.
grand finale, what do we have for number one?
Okay, so number one, and this is also something I bought on my first ever trip to the record store and an artist that I've seen live many times. And it is Homecoming, the live album by Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
So I love, as you can tell, 2 of my albums here are live albums. I really like live albums because I do love going to concerts. And I feel like especially like an artist like Beyonce, the live songs somehow always sound almost better than like the recorded ones. And there's always like slightly different versions of it when she performs them live. So I really like this album because it's almost like a greatest hits of like up until that point, which I think was like 2018, 2019, like
Okay.
most of Beyonce's like greatest hits from her like Coachella performance, which she
Mm-hmm.
was the first Black woman to ever headline Coachella that year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was my number five.
That box looks pretty thick. Does that thing open up any artwork on the inside or?
So there's a lot, there's like a really, really cool. I have a couple other Beyonce albums that have this something like this too. It has like this like lookbook, or like
Mm,
a photo booklet
okay.
inside of it, with these are just like photos from the performance itself. And then each of the like sleeves is
Hmm,
like also has like this really cool artwork on it. So there's 4 LPs on this. So
okay.
it's pretty big.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So thank you for sharing your five with me.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
can you remind the people again where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm bad at self promo, but yeah, my YouTube channel is simply Brittani. Like, subscribe, check it out. And I have a video showcasing like my full collection too.
Nice. Nice. Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks so much for your time,
Yeah,
Brittany.
thank you. This was fun.
Oh yeah. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.